They laughed when Elena Marlowe stopped the Gala with flour still dusting her blue apron. To them, she was only the chubby baker who had forgotten her place among diamonds and tailored tuxedos. Then Elena pointed to the pastry trays bearing her forged signature and told Dante Moretti that not one of them had come from her ovens. The Mafia boss ordered security to remove her before midnight's contract vote, but when Elena closed her blue batch ledger, every cook in the ballroom put down their tools and refused to serve another plate. Dante had trusted his own blood over the woman who had quietly protected his estates for 7 years. Now he had minutes to learn why 6 impossible orders appeared in Elena's ledger, who needed her silenced, and what his family would lose if she walked out. One command had humiliated her. His next command would silence the entire room and give Elena the floor. The nearest server froze with a silver tray balanced against his shoulder. Elena turned the first plate until its paper seal caught the chandelier light. The number was 9147. Her last sealed tray had left Marlowe Bakehouse at 6:15 with the number 9082. 65 seals could not appear in 40 minutes without another kitchen. Set it down, she told him. He looked toward the ballroom, where 200 guests waited beneath crystal chandeliers. Monsieur Vale said these go out now. Elena said they do not. Rosa, Elena's assistant baker, stood beside the service table with a towel clenched in both hands. Elena lifted one pastry and tested its weight. The almond scent could fool anyone who had never worked beside an oven, but the shell was too light. Her recipe carried pear preserved beneath the cream. This one was hollow. Someone had copied the appearance and ignored the structure. Where did this tray enter? West Service Hall. Our delivery used the East Kitchen. A second server lowered his tray. Then a third did the same. Beyond the doors, the master of ceremonies announced dessert before the midnight foundation vote. Elena checked the pantry clock. 11:23. 37 minutes remained before Dante Moretti signed a contract placing vendor access at 6 Moretti properties under Bianca Vale's company. Elena opened the blue ledger beneath her arm. Every batch appeared there with its oven time, tray count, allergy code, seal sequence, and delivery signature. There was no 9147. There was no emergency almond order. There was no West Hall delivery. A kitchen steward named Miles hurried toward her. Mrs. Marlowe, Ms. Vale wants service started. Tell her I need the replacement authorization. She said your signature is already on it. I never signed one. Miles stared at the ledger. Elena secured it beneath her apron strap. Lock the pastry wheels and keep every tray here. I cannot lock anything without approval. You can stop unverified food from reaching 200 people. What if she fires me? What happens if she blames you after those plates cross the door? Miles reached for the wheel lock. The ballroom doors opened before he secured the final cart. Bianca Vale entered in a silver gown, followed by 4 donors, a photographer, and 2 Moretti guards. Elena, why are my guests waiting? These are not my pastries. Bianca laughed for the people behind her. They are sitting on your plates. My plates can be moved. And your signature. Bianca raised a white authorization form. Elena recognized the imitation beneath her printed name. It was close enough for a hurried accountant, but the final letters fell flat instead of climbing upward. Give me the form. Bianca folded it once. No, I invited the finest families in New York, she said. And the chubby baker decided she should run the gala. Laughter followed. Elena kept examining the trays. Humiliation only worked when it could change her hands. Hers remained steady. I am responsible for anything served under my name. You are responsible for butter, sugar, and using the correct door. I used the door in my contract. Perhaps the contract requires someone who fits through it without stopping the room. The laughter grew louder. Rosa stepped forward, but Elena raised one hand. You were hired to stay in the kitchen, Bianca said. I was hired to deliver a verified service. Bianca turned toward the donors. Do you see what happens when hired help mistakes dependence for importance? That word struck harder than the insult about Elena's body. For 7 years, Elena had corrected schedules, rebuilt allergy lists Bianca lost, and sent replacement crews when foundation managers failed. Bianca called when a freezer broke and accepted applause when Elena saved the event. The ballroom depended on Elena's labor while treating her presence as an inconvenience. Elena pointed to the form. Who authorized the West Hall delivery? You did. Then let me compare it with my ledger. You brought a notebook to a gala and think it outranks my office. It outranks a forged signature. The laughter stopped. One guard touched the radio at his cuff. Bianca did not look surprised. She looked inconvenienced. She was measuring how quickly she could remove the person asking questions. Take the ledger, Bianca told the guards. Neither man moved. Their authority belonged to Dante Moretti, not his cousin. Then bring Dante. She did not have to wait. Dante appeared at the doors in a black tuxedo, carrying the final contract folder, with 3 board members behind him. His eyes moved from the locked carts to Bianca, then settled on Elena. He did not ask why the seal numbers were wrong. He saw delayed service and a vendor standing between him and a midnight vote. "Elena," he said, "step away from the carts. I cannot do that." A murmur crossed the ballroom. No vendor refused Dante Moretti in public. Bianca smiled as if the outcome had already been signed. "That was not a request," Dante said. "Then it is an order that puts your name behind food you cannot verify." His expression shifted by less than an inch. He had heard her, but he was not ready to challenge his family before the board. "Security will escort you out." Elena removed the blue ledger from beneath her apron and held it against her chest. She could survive losing the Moretti account. She would not allow someone else to use her name after silencing her. "Then state it clearly," she told Dante. "State what?" "That you are removing the only person here who can prove those trays never came from my ovens." For the first time, Dante looked at the seal. Bianca moved between them. "She is stalling the vote." Elena watched him choose blood, status, and convenience over evidence. His jaw tightened. "Escort Mrs. Marlowe from the ballroom." One guard approached. Elena gave Rosa the cart keys but kept the ledger. Then she walked toward the doors without lowering her head. Behind her, metal struck tile. Rosa had placed her whisk on the floor. Miles followed with his serving tongs. Another cook set down a knife. Within seconds, every member of the pastry team had stopped working. Dante turned at the spreading silence. Bianca stared at the motionless kitchen as if the staff had broken a law of nature. Elena reached the ballroom threshold. 200 guests were no longer laughing. They watched workers who had chosen her judgment over a Moretti order. Dante finally faced the question his authority could not answer. If Elena was only a replaceable baker, why had the entire kitchen stopped when she walked away? Dante looked from the abandoned tools to Elena at the ballroom threshold. The silence was not fear, it was refusal. Rosa stood nearest the pastry carts with her empty hands at her sides. Miles had stepped away from the wheel lock, but he had not released it. Behind them, 12 cooks and servers waited for Elena rather than the man whose name owned the building. Dante lowered the contract folder. "Who told you to stop working?" "No one," Rosa said. "Then resume service." "No, sir." Bianca pointed toward the kitchen. "You are Belmont employees tonight. We work under Mrs. Marlowe's safety release," Rosa said. "If she cannot verify the trays, neither can we." Bianca ordered the Gala manager to replace them. He looked around and found no one willing to move. The entire service chain had become unusable. Dante had watched Bianca receive praise for 7 flawless galas without asking who corrected vendor lists or rebuilt missing allergy records. Now Elena had taken 3 steps toward the exit, and the polished illusion had collapsed behind her. "Elena," he said. She turned but did not return. "Show me the seal." Bianca moved first. "We do not have time for a kitchen lesson." Dante kept his eyes on Elena. "Show me." "That sounds like a request now." "Yes." Elena crossed back to the nearest cart. She lifted a plate and pointed beneath its rim. "My final tray left under seal 98-2. Dante read the number before him. 9147. Those 65 seals were never issued by my bakery. Bianca laughed. "Perhaps one of your employees took them." Elena broke the pastry shell with a spoon. Empty space lay where pear preserve should have rested. "This is not my formula. It looks like your tasting sample," Bianca said. "That is what it was designed to do." Dante examined the hollow center. "What does that prove?" "By itself, only that another kitchen made it." Elena opened her ledger. "The impossible part is the quantity." Her handwriting filled 6 neat columns. "We loaded 180 pastries at 6:15. Bianca raised the authorization. The replacement order added 240. That required 4 more oven cycles after loading. "So your staff worked quickly." "My oven shut down for cleaning at 6:20. Bianca's eyes flickered toward the donors. "The shutdown is recorded here, and Rosa signed it." Rosa nodded. "Our mixers were stripped before the truck left." Elena tapped the production column. "My bakery could not prepare. Bake, cool, fill, glaze, seal, and deliver 240 pastries in 40 minutes. Dante did not understand baking, but he understood capacity. A bakery could not produce 4 cycles from a cold oven. Who accepted the original delivery? Miles did at the East Kitchen. Miles pointed to his signature in the ledger. 6:58. "And the replacement?" "No one in my chain accepted it," Elena said. Bianca extended the white form. "Her signature is there." Dante compared it with the ledger. The real signature rose at the end. The forgery fell flat. "Who issued this?" he asked Bianca. "The Gala procurement office. Which employee? I do not memorize clerks." "You approved the replacement." "I approved it after Elena's delivery failed inspection." My delivery was never inspected, Elena said. Of course it was. By whom? The catering supervisor. There is no catering supervisor on tonight's roster. Miles produced the staffing sheet. Bianca's name appeared at the top as Gala director. No catering supervisor appeared below it. Bianca's voice cooled. Are we stopping a $12 million vote because a baker dislikes paperwork? No, Elena said. We are stopping because someone invented an employee to approve pastries that could not have been baked. Bianca pressed one hand to her chest. She is destroying this Gala because she resents my position. Several donors softened toward her. Status could make a lie feel civilized. Dante checked the clock. 11:31. Move the board meeting to the library, Bianca said. We can sign while the kitchen resolves its mistake. There it was. Not concerned for the guests or the food, only the contract. Elena closed the ledger. Dante noticed. What are you thinking? She wants that contract signed more than she wants these pastries served. That is absurd, Bianca said. Then postpone the vote until morning. We cannot. Why not? The vendor transition begins at midnight. Dante turned toward her. You told me it began Monday. Bianca went still. The legal transfer begins Monday. And tonight? Elena asked. Administrative access activates after signature. The words escaped before Bianca understood what she had admitted. Vetter badges? Elena asked. Bianca said nothing. Delivery schedules? This has nothing to do with pastry. It explains how those trays entered through a hall my contract does not use. Dante opened the black folder. 6 brass tabs marked Belmont Hotel, Moretti House, the Riverside Club, Foundation Hall, the warehouse offices, and the medical pavilion. 6 properties. One company controlling vendor clearance at all of them. Dante's exhaustion disappeared behind a colder expression. Close the service corridors, he told the guards. Bianca stepped forward. You cannot trap donors inside. Guests may leave, Dante said. No one removes a tray, form, or staff record. It was his first order that protected evidence instead of silencing the woman who found it. Elena noticed, but one proper decision could not erase the first. She examined the code beside her forged signature. BV06. She had assumed the number meant a 6th revision. Now she saw 6 locations in the same order as her recurring delivery accounts. Belmont was account 1. The medical pavilion was account 6. The false order was labeled for a property, not a pastry batch. Elena turned to Miles. Were there 5 other forms? I saw a packet in the West Hall dispatch box. Bianca moved toward the service door. Dante blocked her path without touching her. Bring me the packet, Elena told Miles. Bianca laughed, but no one joined her. You still think this is about your bakery? No, Elena said. My bakery was chosen because you believe no one would listen when the chubby woman in an apron said the numbers were impossible. Dante looked at Bianca. For the first time that night, Blood did not receive the benefit of his doubt. Miles returned carrying 5 white forms. Each bore Elena's forged signature. Each displayed a different property code, and everyone claimed her cold ovens had produced a batch that never existed. Dante did not touch the 5 forms. He looked at Elena. Tell me what they mean. It was the first time he asked for her judgment before offering his own. Elena arranged the forms beside the ledger in property order. BV01 belonged to Belmont. BV06 belonged to the medical pavilion. The 4 between them matched the remaining properties in the hospitality agreement. These are not replacement orders, she said. They are test entries. For what? For moving an unverified vendor through each service system while making the failure look like mine. Elena pointed to the authorization times. Each form claims my bakery replaced a rejected batch at a different property. Dante scanned the dates. There were no reported failures, because the trays were never meant for guests. They entered under my name and disappeared before service. Why? Rosa asked. To prove the West Hall route could bypass the staff who know my deliveries. A false pastry order sounded harmless. A vendor entering 6 protected properties under another company's name was not harmless. Dante addressed the head guard. Who issued the temporary badges? Foundation operations. Whose authority? The guard looked at Bianca. Monsieur Vale's office. Bianca gave him a wounded stare. My office processes hundreds of badges, but only yours could approve all 6 locations, Elena said. Dante's attention stayed on Bianca. Open the procurement office. It is locked for the Gala. You have the key. My deputy has it. Name him, Andrew Cole. Miles checked the roster. There is no Andrew Cole assigned tonight. Bianca reached for her phone. The head guard stopped her. No outgoing calls. Elena closed the ledger. I did not agree to holding people because I questioned a delivery. No one is being held, Dante said. Then tell them they may leave. Bianca expected him to protect authority rather than accept another correction. Anyone may leave through the public entrance, Dante announced. No records, trays, or staff equipment leave the service area. Elena nodded once. He changed the order without punishing her challenge. That mattered, but it did not yet make him trustworthy. 2 guards went to procurement. Bianca crossed her arms. When they find nothing, I expect a public apology. I will still have 6 forged documents and impossible production claims, Elena said. You will have paper you wrote yourself. Bianca reached for the ledger. Elena moved it beyond her hand. Dante stepped between them. Do not touch it. Bianca stared at him. You believe her over me? I believe a cold oven did not bake 900 pastries. It was the first public price Dante placed on Elena's competence. Bianca's smile vanished. This family trusted me before she walked in. This family never trusted me, Elena said. It depended on me and called that employment. The procurement doors opened down the corridor. A guard returned with a metal box and a binder marked temporary vendor access. The office was empty. Then Andrew took his files home, Bianca said. The binder contained 6 sections with pages removed on the dates listed in Elena's forms. Missing pages prove nothing, Bianca said. Elena agreed. They do not. Dante looked at her, surprised. She would not stretch weak evidence because it favored her. What would prove access, he asked. The badge return record. The guard opened the metal box. 6 numbered slots were empty. Elena compared the missing numbers with the references on her forms. They matched. So the vendor entered all 6 properties and kept the badges, Dante said. We know the badges were issued and never returned, Elena corrected. We do not know who carried them. Again, she limited the claim to what the records supported. Dante watched her with something different from suspicion. It was reliance, a guard whispered into his radio. Andrew Cole is not a Foundation employee. Bianca's composure cracked. He is a consultant. There is no vendor record under that name. He works through Vale Hospitality. Dante opened the contract's ownership disclosure. Vale Hospitality was not listed. Argent Service Group appeared instead. Elena found the initials ASG stamped faintly on the forged forms. The forms, missing badges, and emergency contract shared one company mark. Who owns Argent? Dante asked. Private investors. Who benefits if I sign? The Foundation. That was not my question. Bianca's silence answered more than another denial. Board member Samuel Reed stepped closer. Argent was certified as independent. By whom? Dante asked. Samuel lowered his eyes. Bianca's office. Bianca pointed at Elena. She manufactured this because her contract ends tonight. Elena opened the ledger to the oldest false entry. This page was written 11 weeks ago across 4 workdays. You could have prepared it. I could have. Elena faced the board. That is why you should not accept my ledger only because I say it is true. Bianca smiled too soon. Tested against oven maintenance, payroll hours, delivery timestamps, and the staff who signed each page. The smile disappeared. Truth that depends on my reputation is fragile, Elena said. Truth that survives comparison is evidence. Dante faced the board. You will hear her full comparison before any vote. Elena closed the book. No. His head turned. You do not get to volunteer me after ordering me removed. Dante could command the room, but not the woman who exposed its foundation. What do you require? My contract ends now, Bianca stared at her. You cannot abandon service. You called me hired help minutes ago. Now you need my contract. Dante held Elena's gaze. If I release you, will you take the ledger? It belongs to my bakery. If you leave, Bianca may win the vote. That is your system and your consequence. The exhaustion returned to his face. He opened Elena's agreement, crossed out the exclusivity clause, and signed beneath the change. You are released without penalty, he said. The choice is yours. Elena examined the signature. No condition required her to stay. Her phone vibrated inside her dress pocket. The screen showed a Boston number she had ignored twice that week. The Hawthorne Hotel offered her its executive pastry position immediately. A car could collect her within 20 minutes. The salary would protect her employees while she decided whether to sell or expand. Elena looked at the open public doors, then at the clock. 11:42. For the first time that night, leaving was not defeat. It was freedom. And Dante had given her every reason to use it. Elena accepted the Hawthorne offer before Dante could ask what the call meant. Yes, she told the general manager. Send the car to Belmont's public entrance. She ended the call and placed the phone beside her ledger. Bianca stared at her. You cannot leave an active investigation. I am not your employee, your witness, or your property. Elena told Rosa to photograph the ledger pages, send them to their attorney, and leave through the public doors. She required Dante to sign a receipt for every tray and false form his guards retained. The blue ledger never left Elena's hands. Bianca gave a bitter laugh. She is dictating terms in your hotel. No, Dante said. She is protecting property I ordered my people to hold. The board withdrew toward the library while guards copied the forms. Dante followed Elena into the public corridor. He stopped several feet behind her rather than blocking the doors. If you want an escort to Boston, I can provide one. No, he accepted the refusal. Elena slipped on her coat over the dusty blue dress. You think I should stay? I think you are the only person who can explain the ledger without turning it into whatever the speaker wants. That is not a reason I owe you my voice. No. Dante looked toward the ballroom. I removed you because stopping the gala was inconvenient. I know. I trusted Bianca's position because examining her work would have forced me to examine my own. That is not an excuse. No. For once he stood before her without the certainty he wore before his board. My father taught me that loyalty meant never questioning blood in public. And what did that buy you? A room where everyone knew the system except the man who owned it. Elena heard the honesty without mistaking it for repayment. Dante held out the amended contract. The exclusivity clause is void whether you return or not. Put that in writing. He wrote the promise beneath his signature. Elena placed the contract in her coat pocket. The public doors opened and cold air crossed the marble floor. A sedan bearing the Hawthorne emblem waited at the curb. Dante did not follow her outside. He remained beneath the chandelier and let the distance become real. Elena gave the driver the Boston address. As the sedan pulled away, Belmont's golden windows narrowed behind her. The Hawthorne offer protected her employees and proved her bakery could survive without the Morettas. Her phone rang before the car reached the next block. Rosa's name appeared. Elena, Bianca called an emergency staff hearing. You were told to leave. She canceled our exit badges. Public doors cannot be canceled. She says anyone who leaves admits responsibility for the forged forms. That has no legal force. The younger servers do not know that. Rosa lowered her voice. She is saying Miles accepted all 6 deliveries, and I printed the seals. Elena looked through the rear window. Belmont was still visible. Where is Dante? In the library reviewing the ownership papers. Bianca could no longer discredit the ledger. So she was discrediting the workers who supported it. If Miles became the access point and Rosa became the forger, Bianca could appear careless rather than guilty. The driver glanced at Elena through the mirror. Do you want me to continue? The road ahead led to independent work and safety earned by her competence. The road behind led to a system that ignored her until it needed rescue. Dante had released her. The choice was no longer contaminated by pressure. Elena opened the ledger to the 6 property codes. A detail waited in the final column. Each false entry listed a pair of initials. RM appeared beside Belmont. MS appeared beside Moretti House. RC appeared beside Riverside Club. They looked like employee initials until Elena compared them with the access zones in the hospitality agreement. Receiving main, maintenance service, restricted catering. The false orders mapped which entrance type had been tested at each property. Miles and Rosa had been selected because their initials resembled 2 codes prepared weeks earlier. The ledger had changed meaning again. It did not only prove impossible pastries and missing badges, it showed a planned survey of service entrances across the Moretti system. The target was not catering profit. It was control over every place where vendors entered unseen. Elena checked the time. 11:47, 13 minutes remained. She could email the discovery and let Dante defend his properties. But Rosa and Miles would remain in a ballroom where status had already turned laughter into a weapon. Evidence delivered without its expert could still be twisted by the person controlling the room. Turn around, Elena told the driver. Back to Belmont? Yes. Should I cancel Boston? No. Elena closed the ledger. Keep the engine running. She was returning to tell the truth, not surrendering her exit. When the sedan stopped beneath the canopy, Dante stood at the top of the steps. He had learned about Bianca's hearing and was coming after her. He stopped when he saw Elena emerge. I was going to tell you what she did. Not ask me to return? No. That answer mattered more than a plea. Elena climbed the steps. Rosa and Miles are not her accomplices. I believe the accusation arrived exactly when Bianca needed a new target. That is suspicion, not proof. Dante's mouth tightened. You are right. Elena showed him the initials. These are access zone codes disguised as employee names. He read them twice. She mapped our entrances. She tested which route could accept an unfamiliar vendor without calling the known contractor. The contract gives Argent authority to issue replacements and to replace staff who recognize legitimate vendors. Bianca had designed a system where unfamiliar people looked authorized and familiar workers looked disposable. What do you need? Dante asked. A seat at the board table. You have it. I speak without interruption. You will. Rosa and Miles remain in the room. Agreed. And you do not announce my future for me. Dante met her gaze. The decision is yours. Elena entered beside him, not behind him. Bianca stood near the library doors, telling donors the kitchen staff had staged the crisis. Her voice faltered when she saw Elena wearing her coat and carrying the ledger. Elena had returned, but she still looked ready to leave. That was the part Bianca never planned for. A loyal woman with no exit could be controlled. A free woman who chose to return could not. The ballroom clock showed 11:50. The vote was 10 minutes away. Bianca reached the library doors before Elena and Dante crossed the ballroom. "The board is ready," she announced. "We have wasted enough time on kitchen theatrics." Samuel Reed lifted the contract while donors crowded behind the velvet ropes. Bianca pointed at them. "Remove the staff until we determine who helped Elena manufacture these records." Dante raised one hand. "Stop the vote." Samuel froze with his pen above the signature line. Bianca turned. "You cannot suspend a foundation decision because a vendor returned with another theory." Dante's voice crossed the ballroom without rising. "Elena speaks first." Dante did not explain the evidence for her. He pulled out the head chair and stepped back. Elena remained standing. "I do not need his chair. I need my ledger where everyone can see it." Miles placed the blue book on a display easel. Bianca folded her arms. "A handwritten notebook is not an audit." "No," Elena said. "It is the operating record your plan required everyone to dismiss." She opened the original Belmont batch. 180 pastries left under seal 9082 at 6:15. This false entry claims another 240 left 40 minutes later under seal 9147. "My oven was cold, my mixers were stripped, and my staff had clocked out." Bianca interrupted. "According to records controlled by your employees." Dante looked at her. Elena speaks without interruption. Bianca's mouth closed. "The impossible number appears 6 times, Elena continued. "Each entry ties my bakery to a different Moretti property, Bianca's approval office, and a temporary badge never returned. Elena wrote RM, MS, and RC on a card. They look like employee initials. They mean receiving main, maintenance service, and restricted catering." She added the remaining access zones. The false orders mapped which entrance at each property would accept an unfamiliar vendor without contacting me. The board looked from the ledger to the 6 tabs in the hospitality agreement. The ledger was supposed to prove my bakery failed. Instead, it proved someone tested 6 properties before asking you to give one company control over badges, vendors, and service staff. Samuel removed his hand from the contract. Bianca stepped forward. "That does not connect me to Argent's owners." "You are right," Elena said. "My ledger proves how the system was tested and why my bakery was framed. Ownership belongs to an independent review." Elena faced the board. "No ownership verdict is needed to stop this vote." A contract granting access to 6 properties was built on 6 forged entries. Signing it would accept that false chain as legitimate. Samuel closed the folder. "She is correct." One board member withdrew her ballot. Then the others followed. The midnight vote died without Dante casting one vote. Bianca turned toward the donors who had laughed at Elena. "Do you understand what she has cost this foundation?" Elena faced them. "Tell them what my labor saved it." Rosa and Miles listed 7 safe years. 31 vendor corrections, 12 rescued events, and management hours Elena never billed. The Gala manager admitted Bianca received the credit. The room finally heard the value of Elena's invisible work. Dante stood beside the table. "I ordered Mrs. Marlowe removed before asking why she stopped service. I treated her judgment as an inconvenience and Bianca's status as proof. That failure is mine." He turned toward Elena. "I apologize without asking you to stay, forgive me, or protect my family from the result." Dante addressed the board. "Bianca Vale is removed from foundation operations. Her credentials are revoked, her contracts enter independent review, and Argent receives no authority, payment, or access." Samuel confirmed the findings would go to civil authorities and insurers. Bianca looked at Elena. "You think they accept you because he gave you a chair?" Elena closed the ledger. "He did not give me the truth in this book. I built it one workday at a time." A guard escorted Bianca through the public entrance after recording her revoked badge. No one laughed as she passed. Midnight arrived with the contract unsigned and no one laughing at Elena. The next morning, Elena met the board in daylight. She placed the Hawthorne offer beside her amended Moretti contract. "I still have a job in Boston and a car reserved for noon." Dante sat across from her rather than at the head of the table. "No one will ask you to give it up." Samuel offered her an executive title. Elena pushed it back. "I do not want employment disguised as gratitude." "What would you accept?" "Independent authority." Marlowe Bakehouse would remain entirely hers. Elena would audit every hospitality vendor independently and hold written veto power over contracts affecting service access. She could stop compromised service, hire her own audit staff, and refuse any Moretti event without penalty. Right, exactly what she said, Dante told counsel. Elena lifted one finger. One more condition. If you use security, money, or contracts to control my choices, our agreement ends. Accepted, Dante said. And if you want anything personal from me, you ask outside this room. Accepted. The board approved her authority unanimously. Elena signed only after every condition appeared in writing. Her name went on the audit line, the veto line, and the final access authorization. The woman denied a voice at the gala could now stop any compromised vendor from entering 6 Moretti properties. That was not protection, it was power. Elena converted the Boston offer into a 6-month partnership, preserving her freedom without surrendering her bakery. 3 weeks later, Dante entered Marlowe Bakehouse after closing and waited on the customer side of the counter. I am outside the boardroom, he said. You are. May I ask you to dinner? What kind of dinner? One with no contracts, guards, or decisions waiting for you. And if I say no, I buy 2 pastries and leave. Elena let him wait. He did. That patience answered what power could not. One dinner, she said. No promises beyond it. Dante smiled without triumph. One dinner. He offered his hand but did not close the distance. Elena chose to place her hand in his. The decision belonged to her from beginning to end. If you had Elena's safe road to Boston and one final chance to protect innocent people, which path would you choose? Sometimes loyalty is not staying because you have nowhere else to go. Sometimes it is returning with the freedom to leave, telling the truth in your own voice, and making power meet you as an equal.